All right, here we go again. Leland Live, talking to NM5 Alabama Dental Associates, bringing you the show tonight. AlabamaDental.com. Y'all, I appreciate everything they've been able to do for me over the years. Dr. Brian's my personal dentist. And here's my backstory. My dentist went out of business. I had a great dentist. And one day I get this little postcard in the mail, and some chick had bought out his practice. I'm like, where did he go? I don't know. Maybe aliens got him. He's gone. But he just sold his practice. And so then COVID hit and everything was closed. Couldn't even go to the dentist. And I thought, I don't know about that. And so then I meet Dr. Brian through our mutual friend, John Lanius. He wants to come on the radio show. I was like, turns out I need a dentist. And even though his practice is much further away than I used to go, I get comprehensive care there because there are four dentists with four specialties. It's a wonderful practice. And of course, with those four dentists, you get the additional hours that we talk so much about, where they're open as late as 7 o'clock at night. They're open on the weekends. As we get squared away and start looking forward to a new year, which I'm starting to do now, I've got my commitments. I don't even call them. I don't even call them resolutions. I know things I've got to get checked off. I got goals for this year, and one of those is stay on top of all my health. When I was younger, I was hard headed, and I wouldn't go to the dentist. I wouldn't go to the doctor. I just wouldn't do it. But the preventive stuff saves you trouble in the long run. So make them your dentist too. Get the flexibility, get the expertise of the four specialists in the practice, all that technology they've invested in to help you with what you bring in and go see them. AlabamaDental.com, AlabamaDental.com. All right, halfway through the show, let's start back at the beginning. We've got a round of storms that are going to come through here tonight, somewhere around 7-ish, depending on where you are. Level 1 in intensity, slight super outside chance of any kind of tornadic weather. It's not that strong, but they're going to be stronger than the rain we've had earlier in the year. This is, we actually have a warm weather pattern starting to settle in. Some of the long range forecasts have us in the low 70s on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. As long as I'm mentally prepared for that, I'm fine because I'm tired of the cold weather already. So, but that's what we're in for tonight. Just keep that in mind. There was a dramatic plane crash in North Carolina today. Apparently, it involved, make sure I get the name right because I'm not a big NASCAR follower, but Greg Biffle. AJ, you know more about NASCAR than I do. Had you heard of Greg Biffle?
Yes, I've heard of Greg Biffle. I know I think didn't he win the last race?
I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
I know that he was considered a hero during Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
They hit western North Carolina and parts of Tennessee, using his own assets, helicopters and whatnot, to get supplies to people. And so the people up there love him. Well, his whole family's on this plane, sort of a corporate jet, and it takes off with his wife and his two kids, and I presume a pilot because they said 5 to 6 people on board, all of them dead. Plane takes off, has to immediately go back to the airport, and when it tried to land again, it crashed and exploded in fire. So a tragic story there. It's just been a week of tragedies. There was even a story today after what all the Australians went through with the terror attack. There was another terror attack. A group was on its way to the same beach to carry out another plot, and authorities were onto them. Some intelligence came across, and they actually had to ram their vehicles and interdicted the plot. There might have been another terror attack on that same Bondi Beach. And then this afternoon, we're following a story that's about to officially, well, it's kind of broken, but it's about to be made official that the authorities in Providence, Rhode Island, appear to have identified a suspect. They have outstanding warrants for that suspect in the Brown University shooting. It could be multiple suspects, but a suspect or suspects. And then now they're saying that they believe potentially that shooting was indeed connected to the MIT shooting just up the road in Massachusetts, less than an hour's drive, just up the road at yet another elite institution. In that case, a professor was killed in his home in a place called Brookline, just out from the campus. The professor was a nuclear fusion professor and a Jew and outspoken about his faith. And then, of course, in this case, we had a different set of people, different type target in the Brown University shooting. From the get-go, there have been suppositions that Ellie Cook was killed because of her political beliefs and perhaps her religion. I don't know how that squares with a Jewish university professor. It's in some ways you could rationalize that the target at Brown was a target of opportunity. If the school was attacked rather than just the individuals, well, then they picked a spot on campus that didn't have proper surveillance. If they were doing their homework, the reason there's such a blind spot is because they picked the blind spot and then went and killed the professor. Or this could be connected in a way that we don't yet understand, which is likely the case. We had heard earlier today that they got a DNA hit potentially off some live ammo that was left behind. And it doesn't take in these days long for DNA evidence and then cell phone geodata to be cross-referencing them to narrow down on suspects, even if they aren't in the criminal justice system. It's pretty amazing. So we're going to continue to almost filibuster this afternoon, and that'll give me a chance to take some phone calls if you've been wanting to call in about this or anything else on your mind. We'll do that as we try to keep the show on schedule and then stall until this news conference starts. It was supposed to start, I think, last hour, but of course, with these kind of developments, it starts to really pick up pace once they get that break and they've ID'd the suspect. Then they're in that person's kitchen, man, metaphorically. They are connected to all of their internet presence. They know people that know them. They're doing the sweep right now to apprehend this person. We've not seen any reporting tonight that this person has been arrested, but the updates continue, and we're continuing to watch our screens for anything else that might be breaking on that case. I had one other thing I looked up and saw on the Fox banner, but it totally slipped my mind. It was something else they were starting to report this afternoon too. The news conference ought to be something else. The ones before now have been a disaster. I hope they'll just limit the number of speakers to a few competent people that understand the case and let that be it. Just answer the questions that they can and don't answer the questions they can't, and preserve the prosecution of these people. But we hope that they can, of course, make an apprehension tonight. Let's go back to sheer politics. CNN has become completely unwatchable. If any of you watch it, I do not know how you do it. All I see are clips, and it is the cringiest thing in the world. But every now and then, they've got some entertaining things that happen on that channel. One of them is this over-the-top pollster guy that they have on every now and then to break down polls. And so I just sent this over to you, AJ. This guy, I don't even know if you can hear this damn audio. If y'all can't hear it, I'm just going to give up trying to play sound bites today. For some reason, these clips don't work. You got it, AJ? You don't have it. All right, let me double check and see what I did wrong. But this guy, I just wanted you to hear what he's talking about. Here are the bottom lines on the numbers. There's been some polling out. There are these polls that are just party identity polls. That's all they are. It's not a head-to-head personalities after campaigns and mail and TV ads and all that. Try to predict a race, but it's the approvability of the parties. Some people call it unfave, or favorable versus unfavorable. But right now, the Democrats are negative 55 points when it comes to House Democrats. Let me repeat that. Democrats in Congress, the approval rating for Democrats in Congress is negative 55. And among independents, it's negative 61. What does that mean? They are 61 points lower than their favorables, than people that approve of that party. I've never seen anything like that. I think the number is actually 18%. Their approval number of the people in this country that approve of that party's activities in Congress is 18%. What's the reason for that drop? After they were already on the floor, they're below the basement now. I think it was the government shutdown that completely backfired on them. Do you think this will actually go out over the air if you hit the button, AJ? Do we know? What happened to that computer in there? We hadn't had this problem in years.
I think with all the setup, other stuff going
Somebody's
on.
unplugged something in there.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't even try it, should we? Is there any way for us to know? Forget it. I'm going to the phones. Joe is in Coleman. What's up, Joe?
Hey, yeah, I mean, I think this next election is very obviously going to be a low turnout. But, I mean, if we can get the Republicans, just the ones that are really fired up, to get out and vote, I think we can win this next election. Fact that you just stated. Those people that are independent, that are in the middle, they're sick of both parties to the fact they're just not even going to go vote. They're not. You know?
The thing to add to that is the Democrats have historic, just frightening lows right now, but so do the Republicans. Their numbers aren't stellar
Yeah,
either.
that's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just need to get people that are passionate about the agenda, and passionate about really the moral agenda more than anything. Because economically, people aren't feeling it yet. They're really not. I mean, the energy prices are good and everything. For what I do, or the small business that I have, gas is a big deal. It's a part of my overhead, but for most people, it's not they're not feeling it yet, and they may not feel it by then. But just the change in the whole moral fabric of the country and where it's going, and the transgender deal and all that. I mean, that's enough to get a lot of people out there to go vote. It really is, and I think that could be a case if there's a lower turnout on the other side. And the other thing is, if we can get this blue slip thing fixed. This blue slip, this is all connected to this Somali thing. These AGs and these liberal states, this is one reason they don't want them in there, is because they'll come in and snuff all this stuff out and prosecute people. And all that money that these Somali people are doing, you don't think the Democrat Party's getting a cut of that?
Well, it's similar to the argument I just made a little while ago that none of this exposure, none of this fraud would be uncovered if Kamala Harris had won, because again,
Absolutely
she would be
not.
appointing her own AGs to look the other way. Tim Walz gets cover. And we're talking about billions in fraud in one state. We've already had a Massachusetts story today. We got Maine. There's probably fraud in Alabama too, but where you've got proper governance and usually Republican governors, they're not going to look the other way. I mean, somebody's got to open the books and go, where'd all the damn money go?
Look, I mean, I started doing Medicare this year, dude, and I'm telling you, there were people. I would see people's books. I'd look online or whatever and talk and hear people talking. There'd be people that'd be like, "Yeah, I've got 200 enrollees already." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? There's no way that's real."
Yep.
People are on the other side. They got Medicare numbers and they're just sitting there just typing stuff in. You know what I mean? It's to sign people up and swap them from this plan to this plan or whatever. There's a scam going out there that's doing that too. I mean, it's obvious. And so when you've got these immigrants that are coming in from these different countries, like you said, that anybody that's been out of the country to a third world country, you just look around you, man. It's happening everywhere.
Man, look.
Somebody's trying to sell you something.
If they got 18, they got an 8. You just look at the blow up in the cost of these programs tells you there's fraud, right? That'll statistically.
Absolutely.
And then you look and if that was just Americans doing it, it'd be a national scandal. Now you take a bunch of third worlders from this backward country that it is. Every damn one of them's going home if I'm president. Every single one. I don't care how nice they are. If they cook that goulash for the mayor and they have a little restaurant in town, get your ass on the plane, buy a deed, you're going home.
You remember when I told you about the Haitian thing that happened in Coleman over here? I guess it was Topre or whatever. Whenever that happened
At the auto place,
the guy that told me that he was a friend of mine that I knew that was a part of one of these temp agencies, and he said these people are coming over here and working, and he said they're working for a little while, and then they're going back to Haiti, and they're doing the same thing with this scam thing. They're coming over here and they're scamming, and they're getting over here illegally, and then they're sending the money back over there, and then a lot of them will jet before they can get caught.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They'll go back.
Do we get our money back?
Yeah.
I mean, is somebody going to demand our money back? Are we going to go to Somalia and say, hey, we want our money back? Probably not.
Here's the other thing, and I don't know if this is possible, but this whole Brown thing, that university, I hope that they take that endowment, and I hope that family of that poor girl that lost their life, and they're not thinking about this right now, but I hope they sue their eyeballs out at Brown University, and they take a big chunk out of that endowment. And even if they don't want to take it for themselves, give it away to a good charity that'll help with security for some of these universities and some of this, because that university, in my opinion, is just as liable as that community is for playing politics.
They put politics ahead of security on this campus, and it's clear. I mean, even before we know a thing about the shooter or where they're from or what their motive was, a shooter is a shooter. When it comes to security, you got to secure your campus, and they put DEI and hiring incompetent people based on their characteristics ahead of competence and real security for those kids. And now we got dead and shot kids all over the place, and the university needs to pay. Every federal dollar they've been getting from the Fed should be snatched tomorrow until they come to Jesus. And I mean Jesus.
And that probably will happen because we got the right person in there to actually do that. They've been looking for a reason to do that with them.
Yep.
But anyway, all right, y'all have a good one. See you.
They should be on GoFundMe panhandling for Brown. I mean, give me. They should put Sally Struthers on there going, our university needs some money. Forget those little African starving kids. We got poor rich white kids that can't buy books. Dry them the hell up and fire everybody in that government. Okay, they won't do it though. But it's fun to yell about. All right, real quick. I see JJ over there. JJ, hang on until we get this break in here. Let's try to keep our breaks on schedule. Still in stall mode over this news conference. Supposed to be some big breaking news from there in a minute. Allen and Company bringing you the show tonight. If you're still running around trying to pick out some last-minute things for Christmas, they've got such a variety of things in all price ranges, all different kind of items, and their beautiful store. You're working with a great local family, the Thompsons, who have their whole family is wrapped up in this one business, and I love it. That's their identity. They just smile when you walk in. They want you to be happy. This is not a corporate chain outlet. This is Allen and Company in Vestavia. I'm going to be swinging by there tomorrow. They fixed a broken chain for Jessica. And, boy, they turned that thing around in one day. She dropped it off 2 days ago, and boom, it was done this morning. And she's happy to get it back. Allen and Company in Vestavia for your broken items, cleanings, fixing anything you need fixed. Over in Vestavia on Highway 31, let me give you some Birmingham directions. It's the same side as the car wash and the Chick-fil-A on that side of 31 in Vestavia. Y'all go see them for the holidays, Allen and Company. It's 427, Leland Live Talk 99.5. Let's get JJ in here, and then we'll do the bottom of the air break. So far, so good. We're on time, waiting on the news conference out of Providence. JJ, what's up with you tonight?
Hey, Leland, got two things if you have time. First of all, I hope you'll have time to pull up the Christmas service they had at the Pentagon. Have you heard about it?
I have not.
It was real simple, but it was beautiful. I only saw about a minute of it, a clip, and that's all you'll need. It was Franklin Graham and Pete, what's his name, Hegseth or whatever, and they had a small military band with some Christmas singing, but it was just so sweet. You need to see that at the Pentagon. And but you'd be surprised at what was said there. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Okay, I couldn't tell if you were there. The other thing is this thing about the rhinos going with the Dems on the health care, Obamacare thing, and trying to get it. Do you think they're going to sabotage that thing, or do you think we'll have to go with another Obamacare for another 3 or 4 years?
Well, it's hard to know. It goes to the Senate, and they're just not that tough and brave in the Senate, and the numbers are thin. And you've got the filibuster hurdle because they don't have the stones to get rid of that so that this can get fixed. The Republicans have passed a plan in the House that lets these new group markets get formed up, creates competition, puts some money back in the hands of the actual insured. Right now, the Democrats are this is a gigantic payoff to the insurance industry, and they want it subsidized. They don't care about poor people. They don't really care about health care. They care about control, government spending, and paying off their buddies that gave them campaign contributions. And so a lot of that is in the Senate as well, even with some of the Republicans. There's some cross-dressing Republicans in the Senate that have taken that same money and are compromised on this issue. I am not optimistic that the Senate's going to do the right thing here, but I hope they do.
Yep. Cross your fingers.
I know it.
Pull that up and tell us what you think about it.
I'll check it out. I sure will.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, JJ. As we go to the break, we're watching the developments. Apparently, there's a helicopter circling in an area around Bridgewater. We think that could be the manhunt narrowing in on this Brown shooter and maybe why the news conference is delayed. We'll let you know more on that when we get back. That's just some internet reporting. Here's the bottom of the hour. Y'all stay tuned. Could be a dramatic afternoon when this finally breaks through. Leland Live. Lonnie's Furniture Company has long been a sponsor here on the Leland Live Show, one of our best sponsors. John's become a good friend. Reggie's become a good friend over the years as he got in with John on this new enterprise, which is this mega store, this superstore in Kimberly, Alabama. And man, is it something to see with all that furniture under one roof, almost an acre as far as the size of the building. The amazing thing is they have even more furniture than that, the stuff you'll see in the showroom in their storage operation, which means they can pull things from the quote from the back. If you've got, say, you see a piece you like, but you'd like it in a different fabric or configuration or color, they may have more of that same item in their inventory. It's what they've been known for 91 years. Quality stuff, great prices, wonderful selection, a variety of styles, just all in one browsing right there in one place with some of the nicest and most helpful people you're ever going to run into in that business. They know just how to handle you. They don't pressure you, but if you need help, they're there for you. They take your time, sit on that couch and think about it for a little while and walk around and look. It does take a while. Man, some people have to take a break and leave and come back and keep looking. It's a great store for the holidays. As you get out this weekend with your last minute shopping, here's some deals that Reggie sent to me this morning that they've decided to throw on. They just got a shipment of their best-selling reclining sectionals. Those are super popular for movie rooms and cozy spaces. So versatile with the sectional configurations. $24.99 for the whole thing, with the built-in recliners and all that tech. They've got some on the floor for you to go sit on and look at. $100 off every dollar you spend. So basically, every $1,000 you spend, $100 for every $1,000 you spend at Lonnie's Furniture Company. And of course, as I've been telling you for days, they are packed to the gills with Lazy Boys. I think that's a cool gift to give somebody. I'll tell you a little quick family story. My granddaddy, I saw a picture of him the other day. He's going back through some old family memories. Basically, when one of my sons was born, I couldn't wait to get him to see my grandfather because he was named after him. And I was afraid my grandfather wasn't going to make it, right? So he finally got big enough to travel. And I took him to see him, and the picture that I looked up was with my grandfather in his recliner. He had this favorite recliner. He sat in every day. And I remember when the family all chipped in and got him that recliner. He had become largely immobile. He got up and walked around during the day, but he needed a comfortable space. We all got him a recliner. And he sat in that thing for so long. That's where you'd find him. That was where he held court. And that was such a memory for us. That's a nice gift for somebody to make them comfortable in their own home. Lonnie's Furniture Company specializes in Lazy Boys, and they've got more Lazy Boys than Lazy Boy themselves. It's Lonnie's Furniture Company. They wish you a Merry Christmas this year if they don't see you this season because they're ready for the new year too. Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com, LAUNIUS, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Okay, as we troll through the headlines, let's go back to the Brown story. It's been a little bit of my obsession for the week. Partially because of the faux pas and the mismanagement of the case, but a lot of it too because of our connection here in Birmingham. If you've ever sent a kid off to college, some of you may have been off to college, but you don't understand what your parents are thinking when you go off to college. And when you let them go off into that world on their own for the first time, part of being a parent is to slowly let them go. I mean, you've got total control. I was watching my son be a dad this weekend and how he just doted over this little boy and cleaned his little face and changed his diapers. And I was proud of him, but I thought it's kind of heartbreaking to know that every single day as the kid gets older, and AJ's doing this right now too because his is on the move. They get a little more independence and a little more ability to take care of themselves. And at some point you hand them a set of keys and they're driving a car. And then that day that they leave for school, though, part of you does the happy dance because you're like, whew, I survived high school. And you're proud of them because they're going off to school or whatever they go off to do in life. Man, it is the thoughts that run through your head, the fears that you have about college life, the things that could go wrong. As a parent, you're always doing that. And some parents' worst nightmares played out at a very prestigious school the other day. And it's like our previous caller, Joe, said, the absolute ignorance with which they had that campus secured is stunning. By today's standards, where school shootings are well known, let me just take a minute to depart from that and say this. If you're running a church, if you have a school campus under your purview, or you're connected to any place like this with their gatherings, you have to imagine the worst and plan for it. You have to up your security and think through the scenario of something like this happening. Now, some of these kids had gone through a lifetime. These kids would be under 20 years old. So some of them have gone through a lifetime where school shooter drills are just part of high school. And some of them credited that with knowing what to do to evade the shooter that night. It might have held the death count down. We don't know those forensic details yet because, again, the school hasn't told us. But this is the world we live in, and it's not a gun issue. It's a human heart issue. I've said this for years, and I'll say it again just as a reminder to newbies to the show. Guns have not changed. Fundamentally, guns have not changed in 100, 120 years. The semi-automatic, the mechanics of a gun like that, exactly the same. The speed with which you can shoot them, exactly the same. They're more comfortable. Some of them look a little more military style. That doesn't give them any more lethality. But we didn't have this problem. We didn't have this problem when I was growing up. We brought guns to school. And I know I sound like the old man right now, but it's true. Kids that hunted were allowed to bring their guns to school. No, anybody could. You had to leave them in the car, though. And not once, with all the fist fights and all the trash talk and the dumb things boys full of testosterone did, not once did anybody ever decide to pull their gun out if we had a beef. And not once did we ever walk in the school door and decide or feared that some external threat was going to come in and shoot the school up. That was not a thing in my generation. That'd basically be the 80s when I was in school and high school. Our school didn't even have a central air system. We had a couple window units. Sometimes I'd try to get in trouble just to go to the principal's office so I could sit in his air conditioning. Mr. Turner had a big window air conditioner, AJ, right there in his office. He kept that thing on cold blast. And sometimes I'd just have a question for the principal.
Right.
I'd say, can I come back and talk to you for a minute? I just want to sit in front of his air. The reason I bring that up is we prop the doors open. We open the windows and prop the doors open in our school every single day. In the later months in the year, we get into May and it starts getting hot. That's just what we did. And by the way, kids, we couldn't wear shorts either. We had to wear jeans. Jeans, no air. We didn't die.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, we
Yeah.
walked to school uphill both ways.
I remember my soles and my shoes were gone because of all the walking I used to have to do.
Well, I was so poor, I couldn't pay attention. No, but seriously, it was just different times then. And so the human heart has evolved in a way where we're going through a national psychosis. And then you introduce political terrorism, which is it's so ubiquitous this year. Since the Charlie Kirk thing was this year. These other terror hits around the world are this year. There have been 3 or 4 plots broken up here in this country and overseas just in the last 6 days. And I guess it's the world we live in. The point I'm making is you got to, the first thing, if you're not responsible for the security, make damn sure that the person responsible for your security is competent. This school hired an idiot to be their public safety director who got fired for lying about his credentials in Utah. And now we see all the collapses in the security, the missing cameras that were shut off for some reason, patrol units that didn't have cameras. He's so incompetent, they won't even put him in front of cameras. He had the ultimate responsibility for that campus. Secondarily, you had the Providence police to be responsible for the campus. You got to take this stuff seriously. Campuses have put up call boxes, and there are other, they've got the electronic alerts. None of that went off. 17 minutes after the last shot was fired, none of it went off. We learned today that the cops ran to the area where the shooting was happening, and they didn't go in. So they either weren't competent to do it or they weren't properly trained to do it. And as I opened the show, I broke down, when you look at one of these incidents, you got to look at the before preparations and what was going on prior to the shooting. You got to look at the shooting itself, how the reaction was during the event, what went down. That's where all these video camera angles are coming from. Well, we really don't have any during that we know of. And then after, what happens after? Before, during, and after. And the before phase is an utter embarrassment to this country. And again, there's politics again. These people put their political, cultural politics ahead of competence at a place that's supposed to teach competence. This is an Ivy League school of the first order. And it's like the more they're educated, the dumber they are. And so they left these kids hanging, and they have failed them since. Maybe today we get an arrest. Another thought occurred to me during the break. And I know I'm a little all over the place, but I keep mulling over what we know about this case. But the reports are there's some helicopter traffic circling in an area that could be activity related to the manhunt that's going on. A little while ago, we had a report that there's a nationwide manhunt right now. They went nationwide with it. They believe that the shooter might have used a rental vehicle like a U-Haul to transport themselves at one point. They do have a vehicle too. They've also have described a personal vehicle that they may be looking for. So a lot of layers to it. My thinking is now that this has gone national and the story may be crossing state lines into MIT, that could make it, by definition, that could make it a terrorism case, which would bring in the FBI. Now you're going to get some competence. And can you believe I'm saying that after all the years of corruption with that agency? They're restoring their credibility all the time. With every bust, with every mob case, gambling case, terrorist interdiction, and the things they're doing, they're back to doing real work. They're not raiding the homes of people that went to a political protest or raising the political opponents of their boss, raiding their houses. And we just found out this week that many in the FBI objected to the Mar-a-Lago raid because they didn't have probable cause. We told you that day when I was sitting here watching it go down. They never had probable cause. They shouldn't have done it. It got him reelected, though, so maybe it all worked out. But back to the FBI. If they get drawn into this case, I think things can move more rapidly and get a little more coordinated, and you'll see a little bit of competence in that news conference if they're invited this afternoon. Because these people, and I said it the other day, when you get ignorance and arrogance that get put together, people that just don't know what they're doing, but are just supremely cocky about it. In a lot of cases, in my estimation of the human spirit, as I've collected stories from people I've met over my life and things I've observed, a lot of the arrogance comes from their ignorance. They're too ignorant to know how arrogant they are. Their ignorance also gives them a deep sense of insecurity, which gets masked by their arrogance. You see that a lot in politicians. We just saw it with Fannie Willis yesterday in that Georgia hearing. That's one of the dumbest people to ever get a law degree, but she masked it with cockiness and bravado, and a lot of people do that. And that's what I'm seeing out of these elitists in Rhode Island. Who are you to tell them they don't know what they're doing? Why? We're from Rhode Island. One, you're not from Rhode Island. You're from Alabama, you hick. And two, we're Ivy League. We clearly know more than everybody. Our standards are better than yours. Look, we hired the black guy. That's the way they see the world. Not, we hired a competent guy. Hey, and he's black too, but the dude's one of the best. They were checking boxes. They hired these ignorant people and left that campus wide open to this. So if you're running a campus, a school campus, a high school, an elementary, a college, a church, have a meeting in the next week and double down on your security plans. Make sure everybody knows what the sheet of music says before it's too late, and double check it, question everybody involved in it, question their assumptions, their motives, throw it on the wall and see what sticks, and press yourselves to do better and make it better. Make the investment, do the staffing, be competent about it. It may not be perfect because you got to be perfect every time to stop this stuff, but we've already seen incidents where a good plan is able to interdict these things and keep them from happening. And that was not what we saw at this particular campus. It is an absolute embarrassment. Work Trucks bringing you the show tonight. TRUX, Work Trucks LLC. That's how you spell it. They snuck an X in there, getting cute with their name. I like it, though. It helps me remember it. Y'all, they're downtown Birmingham, down there on 3rd Avenue South. They've got every kind of truck configuration for industry you can possibly imagine and ready to go. Low miles. These things are vetted, 125 points, and they're ready for business as we turn the corner and go to 26. Box trucks, flatbeds, pickups, every configuration and variety. Low miles, like I said, because a lot of them are off lease. They'll finance them for you or get them financed for you. Get you an extended warranty if that's a concern as well. TRUX, downtown Birmingham, worktrucksllc.com, worktrucksllc.com. All right, 453, Leland Live Talk 99.5. Southern Skies Dermatology ready to check you for skin cancer. It's real, it's out there, and they are ready to give you a checkup and make sure you are good to go at Southern Skies. This is all they do is skin cancer. They find it, they remove it, and they've got the best removal technology in the industry. It's called the Mohs procedure, and this is exactly how you would want a removal done. They don't have to keep removing tissue because they check it as they go, and they can know they got it all. That's important, but they can also stop when they have it all and not just be guessing at it like they used to do in the old days. They've dedicated themselves to helping people survive this. In some cases, it can be deadly, especially with melanoma. So, again, back to your New Year's resolutions and any other plans you have for the year, put health screenings and health maintenance on your list. It's not just about working out and eating right, it's about taking care of yourself. And this is one of those things you can check off and know that you're good to go, especially if you're getting of a certain age or you have a family history, you did some sunburning back in the day like we all did back in the 70s and 80s. It's time to go get checked. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com, SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. All right, real quick before I go to Kyle, apparently the police activity that folks in the area have picked up on is around Salem, New Hampshire, which is north of Boston. And there's a lot of air traffic circling an area. They believe there's a lot of police ground activity in that area, and this could be connected to our Brown shooter case, which is most likely why we've still not seen a news conference. It would make sense they'd want to get the person in custody and then do the news conference. So we may not get that in here in the next hour and 5 minutes. Just depends on how fast or how quickly things move, and whether they can apprehend the suspect or take them out. I don't know. This may be irrelevant, but that's all in the same general area. We're keeping an eye on it. Here's Kyle in Hoover. What you got, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, Leland? It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day that when they came out with that poll, it was talking about how if AOC went up against J.D. Vance, she'd win 51% to 49%. And I was laughing because I was like, I'm not buying that. I don't know anybody that does. But it made me think, and I wanted to get your opinion on it because you've been in that side of politics dealing with polling and things like that. What I think is funny, and you kind of could tie it to the Brown situation when you get these people that do these press conferences and you're like, how did you get your job? It's like you're a bunch of morons. And you almost get this feeling like what they're all trying to do is what I like to call the Jedi mind trick, where these aren't the droids you're looking for. Like they're trying to tell you, no, this is what you're supposed to believe. This is the truth. And everybody sitting out there is like, no, that's not the truth at all. This doesn't make any sense. Is it because they don't have like the full control like they did 40 or 50 years ago where you had 3 or 4 networks and they were the ones that set the narrative and there was no way for you to push back?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. There used to be just a real funnel for news, and they did compete with each other, but they all kind of had the same news. I think it's even worse nowadays where they've gone so political, they're in a defensive posture, and they all stay on the same page for political reasons rather than independent journalism as far as the messaging goes. Does that make sense? But now, look, we can push back. The media has been democratized. Some of the better sources, even in this Brown shooting, have been people in their PJs doing internet research that are ahead of some of the other folks that are trying to report based on their agendas. But it's up to us to be sophisticated and filter out what we think is true and what's not. And the easiest way to do that, in my estimation, is remember where you heard something, okay, or read something or saw something. Don't just read it. Look at the source, and if the next day you figure out you've been burned, don't trust the source anymore. And I'm not just taking a shot at Tucker Carlson, but last night, now granted, he was citing a congressional source, but he was pretty firm that the president was going to announce a Venezuelan war. He got played. I think they did that. They allowed that to leak just to make sure everybody watched, and everybody did, and he didn't say anything about it. Trump didn't. But Tucker looked like an idiot today, and I don't know what else he said about it. But look, if you're in this business for any amount of time, I killed Clint Eastwood one time. Remember that, AJ? I announced he was dead. A bit on a story that wasn't right. So you got to remember where you've heard something that sent you astray and make mental note of that. And the next time you're reading something, over time, when they do that 2 or 3 times, just like in life, you'll learn not to pay attention to them.
Well, that is true. But then again, you got people like Candace Owens. How wrong is she always? She's like most of the time wrong, but she's got millions of followers that will always follow her. And I'm like, apparently, I'm with you. There are people out there that are smart enough to go, I got to look at the source and are you right? Are you wrong? Are you peddling and whatever?
Yeah.
But then there are also those people out there that are the cult members, and it doesn't matter what they say, they will drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, some people will watch because they believe her and they're gullible. and some people will watch because of the car wreck factor. You got you riding in the road, you see a car wreck in the other lane, you gotta just kind of turn and look. Some people will just they're in it for the freak show, right?
Right.
Same
It's
reason we
crazy,
grew up
man, but-
watching wrestling. We knew it was fake, but we wanted to
What?
believe they were
You
really
telling me
doing it,
wrestling's
so
not
we
real?
watched it. Telling you, man. Did I just do a conspiracy theory that wrestling's not real? Thanks, Kyle. You remember that time that guy slapped John Stossel?
I do remember. I do remember.
Does that feel real? Is that- I think it was John Stossel, wasn't it? It wasn't
Yeah, it
Geraldo.
was. No,
it was
John
Stossel.
Stossel, yeah.
Yeah, he's. Can you tell me is wrestling real?
Smack.
That was fun times. Okay, top of the hour news. We're watching everything with this manhunt. Back in a minute.